this story is going to be, there's instances or mentions of child sexual assault. So for those that could be affected by it, be warned, there's nothing specifically graphic about it, but this is the subject matter. So here is Attorney General Rokita, Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita. He has a bit of an obsession when it comes to a specific doctor in his state that did something for a victim, and he's upset about it. Let's jump into what it is that he did. He's filed a lawsuit against this group. This lawsuit named Indiana University Health and IU Healthcare Associates. It alleged that the hospital system violated HIPAA, the Federal Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and a state law for not protecting a patient's information. If you guys don't know, really fast, this was back when Roe v. Wade was about to be passed, did get passed. And then there was a 10-year-old who was assaulted, raped by someone, and she was impregnated. And she then the family had to travel from Ohio to Indiana and see this particular doctor to perform an abortion because she couldn't get it in her home state. That was all revealed. Even Joe Biden mentioned it, and then heads were spinning, maybe angrily. His head is still spinning. More details about Rokita. Neither the 10-year-old nor her mother gave the doctor authorization to speak to the media about their case, is what the lawsuit stated. Rather than protecting the patient, the hospital chose to protect the doctor and itself, again, from that lawsuit. So UHealth conducted an investigation with the full cooperation of Dr. Bernard, who is the doctor who performed that abortion, and other IU Health team members. IU Health's investigation found Dr. Bernard in compliance with privacy laws. Experts in HIPAA compliance say that the law exists to prevent the release of identifiable information. Bernard provided the Indy Star only with the age of the girl and the state of her residence. So that was the point of her putting it forward, saying this is the results of these new rules and the Supreme Court's decision. There's 10-year-olds that are in these situations, and people within her state that run it and then put forward these laws absolutely do not care about her health, her safety, or her life. It was put forward, now they're mad about that whole thing. So he's upset that she put this stuff forward, not the fact that the 10-year-old was raped and had to run away from her state to get some kind of health care in response to it. Forget the trauma that she's dealing with the rest of her life based off of it. But this is, how dare you? And he's trying to convince people to think he cares about HIPAA laws, which, as we've seen, apparently were not violated. But and absolutely nothing to do with the circumstances that involved such an abortion. Some of your thoughts here?
I mean, it seems like it's just, the idea that the new America that we live in, or the pre-Roe or post-Roe now, America that we live in has negative repercussions, that there are some negative consequences to be faced. And it's not even just, you can look past the lawsuit. I remember when that story first came out, and there were commentators who were saying like, oh, this is either a hoax or, well, this doesn't really happen. But it does happen. So we're like, oh, this only happens in small percentages of the time, but it still happens. And there's 330 million people in this country, which means that it happens at a decent amount. So just covering that up, pretending like, oh, I just wanted her safety. No, like the idea being spread that the laws that we live under now are pretty archaic and rather evil towards women. They just are.
So this is the thing, I'm glad you mentioned the whole thing about how many people didn't believe it was real. Because anytime there's one of these types of stories that come out that they're probably pushing, many times they are making it up. So they're like, there's no way this actually happened. So now that the Attorney General from Indiana is suing over this whole story, does he confirm it for you? He's a Republican. Does he confirm it for you now? So since it has been confirmed by someone you probably do trust, now what's your response? Is it okay? Is it okay that these are the results of the things that happened? Because that was your one cover, that was your wall that you put up so that you wouldn't have to publicly defend these types of things that have to happen to 10-year-olds. Which, by the way, as they found out later, the rapist was an illegal immigrant, right? And that's the thought process that this Attorney General is upset about, as he says this ironically about it being political. He says this is a horrible, horrible scene caused by Marxists and socialists and those in the White House who want lawlessness at the border. So he's focusing on the immigration status of the rapist here. And then this girl was politicized for the gain of killing more babies. All right, that was the goal, is what he said. And this abortion activist is out there front and center. A lot of times guys who are politicizing things for other purposes want to deflect from that and say that they're politicizing this for killing more babies. What are you politicizing it for? Because you're a politician and you're talking about this openly. And also you confirm the fact that this happened. So what about that part of it? They actually don't care. What the statement says is we don't care if 10-year-old girls get raped, end up pregnant, and have to run across the country that they say is land of the free to look for some kind of health care to take care of that violation. Which the rest of it, again, we're still not taking care of.
Because at the end of the day, it's easy to rationalize that, oh, it's probably just some poor person or somebody who's in it, because somebody in a better stature wouldn't do that. That wouldn't happen to them. Or if it did, they could just handle it because that's different. You know what I'm saying? That's a different because this little girl is innocent. But if you're poor or any type of not very wealthy, somehow your fault. So.
Last piece of irony here. It's an immigration problem, and those Dems are all just destructive. Specifically, the Biden administration. He'd been here for 7 years. So I don't.
Still, you need some type of rationale. That's just how people work. You got to rationalize your BS, or else you can't really do it. You know what I'm saying? It has to make sense. Otherwise, there's conflict within yourself.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.